Ghost of Tsushima versus Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I'm just going to let you guys know right now. One game executed its approach by a mile, by a landslide, more than the other game. When I was playing Ghost of Tsushima, I thought of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, if it could warp, in a time zone, or find a way to see how Ghost of Tsushima approached its concept and executed it, it would have been better off. Because to me, one of the most overrated games of this gen, outside of Batman Arkham Knight, is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It started off with a lot of promise. I really was liking it for the first hour, 2 hours and a half of playing it. Then I started to pick up on an irritating thing about the game. It was very idiotic. It's almost like forcing me to go buy the downloadable content, because it's almost putting my arms behind my back and saying, well, the traditional way of beating your enemies with skill and intelligence and with a good game plan is going to be thrown out the window, because we're going to create this leveling system that has no sensibility to it at all. And later in the video, you're going to see the upgrades and the abilities, how each game does it differently. Now, to me, Ghost of Tsushima has a very detailed, skilled, laid out upgrade and level tree system that is 20 times better than its game. And before we go into the graphical fidelity of each game, I understand that Assassin's Creed Odyssey is an older game than Ghost of Tsushima, because Ghost of Tsushima just came out. But sometimes we can't always use that. Let me use context behind that when I say that. Killzone Shadowfall is 7 years old, 8 years old. That game still looks better than some of these first-person shooters that I see, like some of the Call of Duties. And to me, that game is 7 years old. Now, it's all about how these developers, get, a lot of power out of these systems. And I always feel like Ubisoft is one of the ones that are always talking about we need power and loves to show you the CGI, and it never actually lives up to what it's supposed to be and look like sometimes, especially with this game. Now, each game takes from a different mythology. This is more of the, samurai, old Japan setting, and this is Greek mythology with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now, I love the way Ghost of Tsushima just pays so much homage to the old school films of how the Japanese, black and white, and I can't remember the guy who, when you play black and white, who they got, somebody could say his name in the comment section, I'm blanking on his name right now, but how they, went all into it. And then when I play Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I just feel like I'm playing it in a setting. Now, like I said, the game started off with a lot of promise, a lot of things you can do, but the combat between these games, I have to say, Ghost of Tsushima wins it hands down. It's not even close. I'm not saying that Assassin's Creed Odyssey combat it's not bad. I'm gonna be fair, it's not bad or it's garbage, but it's, to me right now, when you look at it, it looks outdated. It looks pretty outdated. Ghost of Tsushima makes you adjust on the fly, and I like that concept. I like that dynamic where you're just not going to fight the same enemy types. You might fight like 5 or 6 enemies, and 3 of them or 4 of them might have different fight styles that you can't use the same way against, these enemies, because you got to beat them in a certain way. So you got to adjust on the fly. You got to be very calculating, pay attention to their movements, and I like being strategic like that. It's almost like Ghost of Tsushima. It's, how can I put this? It's like Batman when he went to Japan and he learned, when he was going through learning all types of fighting styles and rituals to learn to, and enhance his ability to become the best detective and the best, ultimately the best weapon in the world, which is himself. And I felt like Ghost of Tsushima is slowly showing, Jin, that the old ways aren't the ways to get it done. You have to apply, new styles and techniques to, overcome your enemies who fight dirty. So you have to be smarter than them when it comes to fighting and not get caught up in your pride, letting that be an answer to your decision making. So I kind of like that concept, what Ghost of Tsushima is doing. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you could have done a lot more with the combat. I'm not saying it's bad, like I said before. It's pretty decent, but right now when you look at it, it looks outdated. And here's the thing I want to get to is the upgrading. This looks like a copy and paste off of Destiny with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because when I was playing it, that's what it felt like. I felt like when I seen these upgrades, it felt like Assassin's Creed Odyssey was taking a page out of Destiny 2 or Destiny in general. And Destiny executed that plan 20 times better than they could ever execute it, because they want to have enemies that, basically usurp your abilities to put these things on, because you have to get stronger with these armors and weapons to defeat your enemies, and I understand that, but the way Assassin's Creed tries to execute it is almost like I said before, they're twisting your arms to buy these downloadable content so you can have a chance to beat your enemies and progress the story. And I'm not a fan of that at all. And there you can see the skill trees for Assassin's Creed. It felt like these skill trees are useless because of the way they got the game designed with the enemies, almost forcing you to get the downloadable content to become stronger with the armor and all the abilities. It's just stupid. Assassin's Creed, I'm not a big fan of it, and this was one of the games I wanted to give it a chance with. And my God, did it showed promise in the first 2 hours, like I said, 2 hours and a half. But then it just fell flat on its face and became irritable. This game became irritating and stupid. Like a bear has a leveling system. A bear is much stronger than a human naturally. Why does that need a leveling system? Why does a chicken need a leveling system? Everything needs a leveling system to beat you. Maybe the goddamn, the items on there needs a leveling system for you to even make it destructible. I think Assassin's Creed Odyssey is an overrated game that showed off promise and then falls flat on its face. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section.